Welcome back, artists. Today we are ready to paint our gingerbread people. Now, something that everyone will have on their gingerbread person is brown, but brown is the darkest color, so I need to do all of my painting that isn't brown first, and brown will be the very last step. I'm going to start by painting the back side of my ornament first. Remember, these are tempera cakes. Tempera cakes start out dry, so if I touch these right now, not really any paint comes off on my fingers. What I need to do is add water to make these work. So I'm going to dip my brush in the water. I'm going to add a dab to my paint, and I'm going to swirl it a little bit and really load my brush. If I look closely, I can see that there is blue on there. I can tell there's lots of paint. Then I can start painting on the back of my gingerbread person. Whenever I feel like I'm running out of paint, I'm going to dip it back in my paint, and I'm going to continue. If I notice that it's starting to look scratchy like that, that means I need more paint. Now, if I notice this is getting dry, I can always dip and add a little bit more water, swirl, 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 and continue to paint. I'm going to work to make all of the white go away, including all the cracks that I left with my name. I can use the tip of my brush to help me get in those cracks as I'm painting. Once I have worked to make all of the white go away on the back side of my ornament, I need to paint the edges. Now I can stick with the color that I was using before, or I can switch to a new color. I noticed that I got maybe a little bit of blue on my edges, so I'm gonna keep going with blue. But I'm gonna paint carefully along the edges of my ornament, making sure, just like the back side, that I'm making all of my white go away. All right, once I have painted my edges, I'm ready to paint the front. If I'm going to use a different color, I need to make sure to wash out my brush in the water so we don't mix colors together. And to check and make sure that my brush is clean, I can always wipe it on my paper towel. I see my water is clear, which means that I can switch to a new color. So once again, I'm going to add my water to the color I want to use, and I think I want to use green. I'm gonna swirl a little bit and really load up my brush. And then I can start painting where I want my green. One thing I want you to think about as you're painting is changing colors anytime that you see a line. So if I paint here with my green, I'm gonna work to stay in my lines, but I notice there's another straight line right here. So I'm going to stop when I get to that line. And I'm gonna switch colors so I can wash my brush out, add my paint to my red, which is the other color I want to use. And I'm going to paint carefully in between those two lines, stopping when I get to this straight line here. I can choose, if I want, I can paint in this crack here, or as an artist choice, I like kind of how the green, white, and red all look together, so I might leave that too. That is my choice as the artist. Now down here, when I get close to my 3D pieces, I want to be really careful not to get that red onto there because that was frosting. I want that to stay white. So I'm going to really be careful to use the tip of my brush and paint around the white. Once I paint something on my clay, I can't erase it. So if I want it to stay white, I need to be careful when I paint around it. Notice how I'm really using the tip of that brush to get in those tricky spots. Now I'm going to continue to paint in my gingerbread person. Remember, anything that I want brown, which would be the skin, and anything that I want white, I need to leave white for now as I am painting. Another thing I need to think about as I am painting my gingerbread person, on 3D parts where I want to add color, I need to paint not only the top of my piece, but also the sides where it goes around to touch the other clay. So if I decided that I was going to paint those buttons with some pink, I don't want to just put pink here on the top part. I can see white on that edges. If I look at it from a different angle, I can see that I didn't paint that very good. There's lots of white. So I need to pick up my ornament while I'm painting, and I need to paint all the way around, even on those edges, with my paint to make sure I cover up all that white. Anything like hair or candy canes or other details that I added with clay, I should be doing this for. I want to check that I filled up all of the white, even on the edges, not just the top. Move on to the last step, which is painting in the skin of my gingerbread person with brown paint, because these are gingerbread people, they should be brown. I will take my brush, add my water, and I'm gonna be careful to paint in everything brown that's gonna be the skin. I don't want to get brown on the beautiful colored parts that I already painted. I'm gonna be really careful as I go. Now I'm doing brown there in the eyes. I could make those a different color if I wanted to. That would be my choice. But I decided I was gonna paint the eyes all the way in. And before I said if I wanted to leave the white here, I could. I don't like how this looks here, so I'm gonna paint that in with my brush, and I'm gonna use the very tip to really get down in that crack. If I have plenty of paint on my brush, it'll kind of fill in a little bit by itself. Here I need to be super careful because those are staying white, so I'm gonna use my tip and paint carefully next to the white so I don't get brown on it. Making sure I make all of my white go away in the areas that I am adding brown.